Good evening and welcome to Look North. Our top story tonight. The mother of a West Yorkshire woman who was killed by her abusive husband speaks out for the first time about his jealous, controlling behaviour.
We lost our unborn grandson as well. 2 lives have been lost. It's double murder.
We'll hear from a domestic abuse charity. Also tonight, celebrations are held in our region to remember the generation of people from the Caribbean who came here 75 years ago. Children in Leeds team up with some top street artists to bring a little bit of colour to their local community. And please don't try this at home. You need strong arms and a strong stomach for this annual Yorkshire Challenge. We'll find out more a little later on.
Well, we did have some downpours today and most of the showers were focused across parts of South Yorkshire. Away from them, we had some warm weather and actually some decent spells of sunshine, as you can see here at Bolton Bridge. We've got some very warm and humid weather on the way for the weekend, but what about tomorrow, the end of the week? I'll be back later in the programme with your full forecast.
Hello, thank you for choosing Look North. Our top story tonight. The mother of a woman from West Yorkshire who was pushed to her death from Arthur's Seat in Edinburgh by her partner says she believes one of the motives for her murder was honour-based. In an exclusive interview with BBC Newsnight, Yasmin Javed also said she thinks her daughter Fawzia was killed because of coercive control and jealousy. Fawzia's partner, Kashif Anwar, was convicted and received a minimum sentence of 20 years, although he says he intends to appeal against the ruling. Yasmin Ara Khan has the story.
Are you done? Yeah. Are you done?
Fawzia was a beautiful soul. She was a gift to mankind, perfect in every way.
Yasmin Javed, Fawzia's mother, opens up about her daughter's tragic murder in her first broadcast interview. Fawzia was a solicitor, married to Kashif Anwar, an optical assistant, in an Islamic ceremony on the 25th of December 2020.
First time that we met him, thought he was a polite, well-mannered young person.
Shortly after their wedding, Anwar knocked Fawzia unconscious in a cemetery. Around the same time, he put a pillow over her face and punched her in the head. He also withdrew £12,000 from her bank account while she was sleeping. Fawzia, who had helped as a volunteer in many charities, including for domestic abuse, decided to end the marriage due to the abuse she endured.
She'd contacted divorce lawyers to get the ball rolling, to get a divorce, because he always said, "I'm never going to divorce you." She'd also made voice recordings of him where he's been threatening and abusive towards her.
You've ruined my life.
I'll tell you one thing. You end this and I will ruin yours.
Fawzia went to the police twice, said that there was a record of Anwar's behaviour, although she didn't want them to intervene at that point. The second police report was made just days before Anwar killed her on a weekend away to Edinburgh. The couple were captured on CCTV heading to the Arthur's Seat hilltop. After Anwar pushed her off, Fawzia was able to tell passers-by what happened before she died. She was pregnant at the time.
Fawzia's last words, "Am I going to die? Is my baby going to die?" We lost our unborn grandson as well. 2 lives have been lost. It's double murder.
During the trial, the court heard some of the secret recordings Fawzia had made.
What do you think you are? You're not a man. So come back tomorrow like you've been told. What's your problem? Don't challenge me. Do not be that British woman. I'm telling you now not to. It's not going to work.
Fawzia's mother believes that one of Anwar's motives was honour-based as well as coercive control and jealousy.
He used to say to Fawzia, "We don't have divorces in our family. We don't divorce. We stay in marriages no matter what."
Karma Nirvana, the charity supporting Yasmin, including prior to Fawzia's death, said that they recognise honour abuse as part of Fawzia's lived experience.
So anything that's here that you're probably going to say belongs to you, you're not taking anything from here.
Right, so what's going to happen to it?
So it's all going to stay here. That's my possession. This is my house.
Police Scotland, who carried out the investigation into Fawzia's murder, told us they did not identify any honour-based abuse, adding that domestic abuse and coercive control were the main factors in this case. Since the trial, Fawzia's mother claimed that she has been battling to get all of Fawzia's possessions from Anwar's home, that even in death, she feels Anwar still exerts control over Fawzia's property.
I still don't have all of Fawzia's possessions back. The possessions that I have got back, I've had to fight tooth and nail to get them.
The Anwar family told us that they had returned all of Fawzia's possessions to the police and to her family. Fawzia's tragic murder has deeply impacted her family, who now strongly believe that it serves as a poignant reminder that nobody is immune to domestic abuse.
Baroness Shaista Gohir is the head of the Muslim Women's Network UK and knew Fawzia and her mother. She told me domestic abuse affects many people.
So domestic abuse is very common in all communities, but in some communities, such as South Asian communities, there's an extra layer of a barrier which makes it very difficult to report the abuse and ask for help. So Fawzia is a really good example. She had lots of support from her family, educated, knew her rights. She's probably telling other people about her rights. She was a member of our charity, yet she was a victim of domestic homicide, which just goes to show the control that perpetrators can have over their victims.
Had Fawzia spoken to the charity at all?
She didn't speak to our charity, but she knew her rights. She was liaising regularly with her mum, who was supporting her to get out of the situation. She'd reported it to the police, and she was on her way to leaving, but unfortunately did not make it. So I think it's important actually to raise awareness, particularly in South Asian communities. I was looking at the figures, and in 2022 there's probably a dozen or so South Asian women that were murdered. 2021, very similar figures. So I think there needs to be particular awareness raising of signs.
If people are watching this and thinking, that sounds like a familiar situation either to myself or to a member of my family, how can you break that control a perpetrator has?
First of all, if you are hearing or witnessing abuse or know about it, could be a work colleague, friend, a family, direct them to a helpline. You can also call the helpline yourselves and explain the situation. We've got a helpline, the Muslim Women's Network helpline, where sometimes friends and colleagues are calling the helpline, and then eventually they will convince the women themselves to ask for help, report to the police. We can facilitate that as well. It's really important to recognise abuse, though, because it's not just physical abuse. There's financial abuse, there's coercive control, and they can be quite difficult to recognise for women that are in those situations.
Thank you very much for your time and for speaking to us here on Look North. And you can see more of that report on Newsnight on BBC Two tonight at 10:30. And if you or someone you know has been affected by the issues raised in that report, contact the BBC Action Line, bbc.co.uk/action line, for details of organisations which offer advice and support. Now, a change of subject. Communities across Yorkshire are celebrating Windrush Day today, marking 75 years since the Empire Windrush ship brought hundreds of passengers from the Caribbean to help rebuild post-war Britain. Now, in 1948, the Windrush docked in Jamaica to bring home British service personnel, but it also brought back people from the Caribbean who took advantage of the £28 cut-price ticket, and they came here to fill job shortages. They worked in the production of steel and coal, as well as on public transport and in the NHS. Our reporter Abby Jaola has been to meet a family in Huddersfield whose grandparents and parents made the long journey from Jamaica over half a century ago.
Without them, it wouldn't have been possible, would it?
Absolutely.
And they wouldn't be able to create this legacy that we've got now.
A happy and close family who all live within streets of each other. The Spencers are the third generation to make Huddersfield their home, but the first to be born here. Their grandparents came over from Jamaica in the 1950s. Their parents came in the 60s.
When they came over, they were told that the streets were paved with gold and they'd be able to make a lot of money and it'd be a better living for them. So they decided to take that opportunity up.
Following in the footsteps of the passengers of the Empire Windrush back in 1948, life wasn't quite the fairy tale they'd been promised. Dad Sylvan found work in textile mills. He died in 2017. Mum Edna worked as a cleaner and passed away last year.
there was signs in the window saying no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. And when you categorise next to a dog, how does that make you feel?
It was really difficult. My dad always talked about how they had nothing. He always talks about, I came with my one suitcase and basically his suit, his papers and just a few other things.
They've had a struggle, a race struggle, a survival struggle, really. Yeah, they have.
The Spencers raised 4 children together in the UK. They had 9 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. Their family are now part of a new project in Huddersfield to collect the histories of the Windrush generation.
A lot of people don't, a lot of parents back then were protecting us. No, they can't know what we went through. No, don't ask me, no. And I feel that telling these stories now that they're not here is important.
Through the World War, we helped build this country. The National Health Service wouldn't be the National Health Service if it wasn't for black and brown people coming over to this country to contribute to that. And I think it's very important to talk about that and let your children know that we're from something and we're hard workers and we've always played a part.
The family motto is unity is strength, something they're passing down now to the 4th and 5th generations. Abby Jaola, BBC Look North, Huddersfield.
Thanks, Abby. The Windrush anniversary has been marked at events right across our region, including in Chapeltown in Leeds. Presentations took place and tributes were paid by the younger generation to the Caribbean settlers who paved the way for them. A Windrush lunch was served as precious memories were shared.
We live the life we do today because of the sacrifices that they had made back then. So we have to acknowledge them, and the young people have to try and appreciate the life that they've got today because of the sacrifices the generation of the Windrush made.
And we're live at another Windrush event later in the programme. But first, I think I'd only just finished talking about football and suddenly we're talking about football again, aren't we, Sally?
Yes, we are. You'll be very excited about this, Tom, because the new football season is still a month and a half away, but you can start to plan already because the new EFL fixtures are out today. And Sheffield Wednesday will kick us off. The Owls' reward for that playoff final victory against Barnsley is a home start in the Championship against Southampton on Friday the 4th of August. Back in League One, Barnsley get going a day later against Port Vale at Oakwell. You can find all of our team's provisional fixtures list for the whole season on the BBC Sport football web pages. Now, there's been a wonderful day of success for competitors from our region at the Special Olympics in Berlin. We spoke to Sheffield's Niall Geit and Bradford's Ella Curtis before they set off for the Games, and today both won medals with outstanding performances in cycling. The Special Olympics provides sport for people with intellectual disabilities. Joe Wilson sent us this report.
Special Olympics, Niall Geit, the man for any moment. He excels as a cyclist, but that's just part of it. From his bedroom in Sheffield, Niall started his now famous stadium pictures. They've been displayed at the Royal Academy. In Berlin, Niall smashed through some more of the boundaries that still surround intellectual disability. 25 kilometres, 46 minutes, sprint finish and a silver medal.
It was a really tactical race and it went really well. And it was tiring.
The connection you get from absolutely everybody is just joy. It's just absolute pure joy. It's wonderful. And everyone's rooting for everyone else.
Great Britain cyclists are a team within the team at these games, sharing achievement and effort. Remember the motto here, be your best. During the pandemic, Ella Curtis learned how to ride a bicycle. Now here she is racing. Now here she is completing the 1 kilometre time trial in 3.5 minutes and winning. Gold medalist Ella Curtis, how do you feel?
Happy, excited. I loved the race.
Did you feel nervous or scared at all today?
No, I knowed it. After I knowed it, I'm very excited.
Coach, can you tell me what's in your heart right now?
It's bursting. I can't tell you that. Well done, Ella. I'm so proud. You worked really hard. Ella taught herself to ride those 2 wheels during lockdown, and she said, I want to go Berlin to the Games, and she's done it, and she's got a gold medal.
This is the spirit created at the Special Olympics. All we have to do is enjoy it. Joe Wilson, BBC Look North in Berlin.
Just wonderful. Now, on Sunday, the Keighley Cougars will host their 4th annual Pride game. And this year, they're painting one of the terraces in rainbow stripes as a permanent symbol that everyone is welcome. The Pride game was introduced by married co-owners Ryan O'Neill and Cowie Garcia, who want to lead the way in making sport inclusive.
At Cougar Park, they're getting ready for their annual Pride game. Introduced in 2019 by owners Ryan O'Neill and Cowie Garcia, it's something Ryan could only have imagined when he was growing up in the town.
I had horrible teenage years, to be honest. I was totally in the closet. I couldn't comprehend coming out living in Keighley. It was a place that I didn't feel would welcome me as a gay man. Yeah, I had a tough time, but I found my place in the end, which is good, and that's why this matters so much for people.
And Cowie, you're originally from Brazil, not a hotbed of rugby league. Is it fair to say you came into the game through love and marriage?
Coming here to England 10 years ago when we got married, was a learning curve for me. I hadn't heard about the sport. Now I love it more than football, even though Brazilian myself. But I think it's amazing really what we do here in terms on the field and off the field as well.
How have things changed, do you think?
I think things have moved on a lot since the late 90s and life became better for the LGBTQ plus community. I think things are going back a bit, actually. There can be a lot of homophobia. Cowie and I have experienced it, and that makes me realise that, society isn't quite there yet.
An entire terrace is being painted in rainbow colours. Jeff Baxter is one of the volunteers doing the work.
And there's 5 colours going up this side and 6 colours coming down this side. So quite a lengthy task. It's going to look good on the day, there's no question about that, and it's going to be something different.
The rainbow terrace will be a permanent symbol that everyone is welcome here.
This is Keighley, we're doing things a bit differently again, and I hope everybody buys into it and likes it, and I think it's going to look fabulous.
And I think it's a mark that will be there all year around, not just during Pride Month. Actually, when you come here to Cougar Park all year around, the rainbow flags are up there.
This club can be a beacon of saying this is how society can work, with everybody respecting one another and getting on and being a neighbour to everybody, and that's what we want to do, and we'll continue trying to do that.
And that game is on Sunday against Whitehaven. It looks like a good one, Tom.
Indeed, thanks very much indeed, Sally. Now, a bold mural has been unveiled in Leeds today, designed with the help of school children working alongside a pair of street artists known across the world for their striking creations. A local theatre company made it all happen, and it's fair to say the street has been completely transformed. Here's Heidi.
On the wall of a warehouse in Leeds, a striking piece of street art, inspired by young, free minds from a neighbouring primary school.
We are the Imaginative Intelligence Warriors! Yeah!
What does it mean to be an intelligent, imaginative warrior?
When you let your brain go, we use those ideas to make it into bigger things.
A group of children from Ingram Road Primary got to work with a pair of internationally renowned street artists known as Nomad Clan. The result is spectacular.
It's as fluid as, I guess, thought processes are. It's sort of looking at the bigger picture of creation, universe.
Free thinking and, imagination needs to be nurtured, and it gets forgotten often down the line, with, living life and responsibility, but when you're a kid you can just let that go and you can be in a different world.
The artists have made their mark in Leeds before, most notably with Athena Rising, one of the tallest murals in the UK at 46 metres high. The recurring owl image, a nod to the Leeds city symbol. It also represents knowledge.
I had 3 ideas that are on here, space, sci-fi and the owl that's on there.
My idea was just a child, so you didn't assume its gender, where it's from in the world, if it's a boy or a girl.
The artists did amazing, outstanding. They brought all the textures into it, and they just brought a brand new picture that we didn't imagine.
It's just magical every day to see people come round the corner or come out the houses opposite and look at it in absolute amazement.
An imaginative transformation, open to interpretation. Heidi Tomlinson, BBC Look North, Leeds.
Our cameraman Ed Young with some incredible shots of that brilliant mural. Now let's return to our coverage of the events taking place to mark the 75th anniversary of Windrush Day. A special church service is taking place in Leeds. Carla is there for us now. Good evening, Carla.
Good evening. Today is a hugely important day for worshippers and for the wider community here at the New Testament Church of God in Hare Hills in Leeds. So many people have turned out to honour those Windrush pioneers, or the Diamond Generation as they're called here. Today's service is dedicated to them. They answered the call to come and help rebuild this country after the Second World War, but when they got here they faced discrimination, they faced hostility which they had to overcome, and they did overcome. This evening's service is led by Bishop Tony Parry, who I spoke to earlier today, and I asked him what it means to everybody here.
In terms of the Windrush generation and all they've achieved in the city of Leeds, as you rightly said, we have some high flyers, and that's really good now for those younger folk to see that they are the role models that I can follow in their footsteps. So it's in the world is their oyster, in spite of. Yes, they can.
It was a generation that was resourceful and hardworking, that made so much more possible for the generations that were to follow. So we asked people as they were congregating here earlier this evening what qualities the Windrush generation represent to them.
It is nice when someone can be a leader for the next generation. And, you know, we all came to this country with great ambition and great aspirations.
As I learned from my mum, they had a rough time, but we're able to learn to cope.
Really happy coming here and grateful to be here.
75 years ago today, Empire Windrush docked at Tilbury Docks. It brought people from Nevis and Jamaica, some of whom made their way up here to Leeds. Other Caribbean islanders followed after that, people from Trinidad, from Grenada, from Barbados, and really Leeds and Yorkshire, the whole country has benefited from their input, from their contribution. Now, the choir and the congregation are in full voice, as I hope you can hear. This is a joyous and proud celebration of the legacy left behind by the Windrush generation, a legacy that will be picked up and carried forward. But we are almost out of time, so for now, from Hare Hills, let me leave you with a community very much united by an important and unique history.
Was there a choir? I don't think we noticed. Fantastic stuff. Thank you, Carla. Now, from coal-carrying competitions and bed races to scarecrow festivals and moon raking, we are home to some truly weird and wonderful traditions. And in just over a week's time, it's the turn of the Oxenhope straw race. Taking place high in the Pennines near Keighley, the event has raised £500,000 for local charities since it started in the 1970s. Nicola Rees finds out more.
Let's crack on down the bay.
Well, like any good story, it started in a pub with two farmers, local farmers, having a bet about who could carry the bale the fastest.
OK, out we go.
And it developed into a race between all the pubs in Oxenhope, carrying a bale of straw and having a pint at each pub on the way.
Hi, I'm Robin Wright. I'm the chairman of the Oxenhope straw race. And as you can see, this is not as easy as it looks.
There's certainly a technique involved. Quite often, our regulars actually beat the athletes, so it's about the technique. It's about the technique of carrying the bale and keeping the beers down.
There's 5 pints between the two of you. You know, you see a variety of different people. You know, some can handle their drink a lot better than others. Some people choose to go for non-alcoholic options. It's been something that's been in the local valley for 45 years now, and probably years before that. I'm Tom, and I'll be taking part in the straw race this year. It can be a little bit uncomfortable, but you'll find a sweet spot as you're running, and you know, the more you practice, the sort of better you get at it.
I'm feeling absolutely blown coming up this hill. Hi, my name's Ken Dyson, and I'm struggling to talk right now.
We're in the middle of the South Pennines here. It's a wonderful area. We've got the hills, that's part of the event, running down the hill, over the moors, through the village and back up the other side. The views are fantastic. The weather can sometimes be a bit demanding, but that's all adds to the fun.
We're nearly there.
It's just a really good local event that attracts all different people from the local area, and then also raises money for lots of local charities.
45 events later, we've raised nearly £500,000.
There we go.
All the pubs are fully on board. They get their beer donated from the local breweries, and then they provide the beer on the day and some of the staff and stuff. So not only does it support the charities in the area, but also lots of the local pubs.
We have people as well. It's truly global. We've got people coming over from Texas, Hong Kong, Italy. That's a dedication of people that were originally from the village, and also family members and friends that join in.
Well, we're hoping for good weather. We're hoping for good crowds. It's all about having a great time, so we hope that everybody will come and join the fun. There's still a few places left if anybody wants to actually enter it, so just come along and enjoy it. It's a really good fun day out for all the family.
Cheers.
That's very kind of them to invite me, but no thanks, we'll pass on that. What about you, Keely? Fancy carrying a bale of straw?
Absolutely not, and certainly not in the heat today, because it really has been another very warm one, and it's going to get warmer into the weekend. It's also been fine for many of us. Look at the blue skies above Malham here. The second picture, equally lovely scenes overhead in Leeds. We didn't get anywhere near the amount of showers in West and North Yorkshire as we forecast, but here's a picture of South Yorkshire. You can see some really dark clouds in the background. And actually, we got most of the showers today across that part of the world once again. Keep your pictures coming in, of course, on social media or on the BBC Weather Watchers page at Keely Donovan or keely.donovan as well. So yes, a bit of a different feel to the weather tomorrow. It's still going to be warm and certainly becoming increasingly humid into the weekend, but there won't be those showers around, and there will be a little bit more cloud through tomorrow as well. And then the humidity builds as we head into Saturday. A very uncomfortable night Friday into Saturday. There will be a lot of fine weather through the weekend, but the breakdown happens later on Sunday. This cold front bringing some very heavy thundery showers. At the moment, it looks like that won't happen until later on Sunday. So this is the radar from earlier. As I mentioned, most of the showers were focused across parts of South Yorkshire. Once again, we even had the odd rumble of thunder. And any showers out there at the moment will tend to fizzle. It looks like a dry night with clear spells. We might start to see a little bit more cloud creeping in from the west later on in the night as temperatures drop back to around 12 or 13 degrees. Let's have a quick look at those high water times then. 20 past 8 in Bridlington and just gone 8 o'clock in Scarborough. So we start the day tomorrow with increasing amounts of cloud, and I think overall tomorrow there will be more cloud compared with today, though there still could be some spells of hazy sunshine, particularly in the east. Generally a dry day, but there will be the threat of rain, particularly later in the day from the west. That rain just starting to edge onto the Pennines through the afternoon. Temperatures lifting tomorrow to around 23 degrees. That rain will spread eastwards tomorrow evening, introducing much more humid air for the weekend, Tom.
Loving your work. No one says fizzle out quite like Keely Donovan. That's why we employ her. Thank you very much for your company. Corinne's here at 10:30, but from your Thursday evening gang, good night.